Hello and welcome back to On Volume 6, the channel designed around bridging the gap between Jungian theory and objective personality theory to figure out where they sync up and where they diverge in relation to the question of psychological types. I'm your host and I'm here to get things started. What are we talking about? We're talking about orthodox, or I keep on using the term orthodox because I want to make a distinguishment to say that objective personality theory can still be Jungian theory, just in a modern context. But I think that would be neo-Jungian, question mark, if that's the claim. But I don't know if that just takes a consensus, or you'd have to actually bridge an understanding with people in specific conferences. But yeah, so we're saying, okay, attitudes, modalities, and function types. Why? Because it starts with an attitude, or it starts with a modality, or it starts with a function type. So we're going to create a different pairing classification in this context. Okay, so one, we're saying, let me zoom in. Okay, that's attitude. Okay, so we have attitudes, and that's E or I, introversion or extroversion, extroversion or introversion. And then we have modalities. So what's left if we have attitude, modalities, and function types? So that's where we're at so far in terms of explaining what are we talking about. We're talking about, what are we talking about? We're talking about objective personality, and we're talking about Jungian theory. We're talking about psychological functions versus psychological types, and we're talking about common notation and formal notation. So in a previous entry, we blew up our map with a lot of copied and pasted notebook pages out of Volume 6, or The Psychology of Individuation, the original translation. And we made it to, so we're talking about Jungian theory, and what is included in Jungian theory. We're talking about attitude, introversion or extroversion, modalities. This is not in orthodox Jungian theory, by the way. I should point out that modalities are not included in I want to make sure that you understand the modalities are not included Modalities are not included in orthodox Jungian psychological functions yet, even though there are trace elements with regards to the anima and the animus, and elements related to the use of specific functions in an unconscious. But for the time being, when we talk about Jungian psychology, not Jungian psychology, but specifically Jungian psychological types, this is what we're to become acquainted with in terms of Jungian psychology. Jungian psychological types. Psychological function versus psychological types. So in order to get to the psychological type, we have to construct it out of psychological functions. And that's where we were at when we were talking about visualizing a type in the objective personality system. Now, I started off self-identifying as this type on the left. But is that really a type, or is that just a bundle of functions? I'll let you be the judge of that. Okay, time's up. It's a trick question, because in orthodox Jungian psychological functions, there are no modalities. So technically, it's just a bundle of functions, not a psychological type. Because when you add the modalities, you also add in the technique of animal functions or action functions as a higher order combinatoric that links functions together. So what does that mean practically? That means that instead of just saying that we're using this function, function 1, function 1, function 1, function 2, function 3, function 4. How am I using them together? How am I using them apart? This links the functions together as a higher order combinatoric. This is not a proper linking. Why? It's because this is a part of the heart line. It's a part of its own axis. We call this the decider axis. Links 1 to 4. Decider axis, observer axis. Okay? 1 to 4 was the observer axis. 2 to 3 was the decider axis. And you're able to spot those different axes. So this is about visualizing type in the objective personality system. What are we talking about? We're talking about orthodox Jungian theory. We're talking about attitudes, and we're talking about function types. So what do you get as a result? As a result, you get number 4. Let's follow the E or I convention. Feeling, thinking, sensation, intuition. And let's write this out. Pause. Okay, so picking back up where I left off, we're talking about, what are we talking about? We're talking about visualizing type in the objective personality system. We're talking about Jungian theory. We're talking about objective personality theory. We're talking about attitudes, modalities, and function types. Attitudes, E or I, introversion or extroversion, and attitude orientation. We're talking about modalities. Scratch that. We're only talking about Jungian theory, orthodox Jungian theory. Some modalities are not included, though there are some references to the anima and the animus. Point 3, function types. Feeling, thinking, sensation, intuition. The function types. And then when you combine the attitude orientations with the function types, you get 8 psychological functions in the orthodox Jungian context. Pause. Okay, so in the last few minutes, we can zoom out and get a look at what I was writing about in terms of Jungian theory. We had attitudes plus function types, and then we included the modalities, right? So this is where you get into theory, structure, and application / practice. Here, let's write it out. When we get back, we'll have written it out. Until next time.